followers doesn't mean anything. Someone can have the littlest follower but make a lot of money.
Yeah.
But as someone, as a 16-year-old, just looking at, all these affiliate marketing videos, if I'm seeing someone, the guy could know what he's talking about. But if you don't have the followers, to me, I'm like, okay, this man is not making no type of money.
It's a beauty contest online.
You're now tuning in to Unfiltered.
All right, guys. So welcome to another episode of Unfiltered. This one's going to be very special because, the whole point of Unfiltered is we want to, highlight some entrepreneurs in Fort Lauderdale on what they do, whether they're a dentist, an influencer, a marketing agency, just anything that has to do with Fort Lauderdale in general. So we got a couple special guests from none than the other. The brand themselves, ACC team, is here in the house. So I'll let them introduce themselves one by one. Just introduce yourself, who you are.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having us, bro. ACC Unlimited. I'm Anthony Clark, founder and CEO of ACC Unlimited. We're a digital marketing agency specializing in the hospitality industry, everything from content production down to paid ads and social media.
Again, like Anthony said, thank you for having me.
This is his first pod.
First podcast.
He's super nervous.
Yeah, a bit nervous, but I think I can handle it.
We're popping that podcast cherry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm Mackenzie Gallant, junior social media of ACC. Yeah.
Awesome. So when it comes, this is interesting because we're actually the people behind the scenes always.
Yep.
This is the team right here that is always behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. So that's another reason why I wanted Unfiltered to be born, where it's like you guys get a little sneak peek of what we do and how these ideas come to life for our clients, whether it's content creation or website creation, marketing strategy. There's somebody's mind or minds are involved with that. It's not just ChatGPT, guys. All right.
Please.
That's, you guys think that he's like, oh yeah, just do a prompt, call it a day.
Yeah. It's
a tool that can help you, but it's not going to give you everything you need. You need that human touch. So actually, let's get right into that. Speaking of AI, do you think AI is out there as a tool that can help us? Do you think it's going to take over our jobs? How do you feel about AI in general?
The verdict is still out on my direct answer for that. Do I think it is a tool? Of course, right? I mean, if you're not using AI right now in your business, then I don't know what you're doing. But number two, is it going to take over our jobs? It's a big possibility.
Yeah.
But where I keep hope is when there are new inventions, if you're smart, you'll always find a new place or some area to be valuable in. Everybody was riding horses at one point, and then cars came, right? And if you were still like worried about putting hooves on people's horses, you went out of business, right? You should have learned how to change brakes or something, right? Yeah. So and of course, that's a false comparison in some sense because AI is much bigger than the car revolution. Yeah. But I do think wherever technology goes and innovation starts to excel, humans will find ways to be valuable to the marketplace.
Yeah, I think you touched a good point there, like being valuable, right? Because in any industry, let's just use, for example, graphic designers. Mm-hmm. Graphic designers, the play was you had to learn the programs, either go to school or learn on YouTube University, learn the programs, then from there start, just getting yourself or your hands dirty and figuring out how to create designs, be creative. Yeah. And then from there, hopefully you can sell your designs or work for a company that you do designs. Right. Nowadays, you can prompt something and it just comes up. Right. And I saw an article earlier today, it's like, oh, is this going to replace graphic designers? Not necessarily. If anything, this is another tool that they should be using to their advantage. Because at the end of the day, yes, you can prompt things out, but you still need that touch. You still need to move things. You still need to be able to, like for example, we have chefs for a reason. Right. We got the ninja cooks and all that stuff, right? All those tools that you can buy for your house. Are the chefs going out of business? Are they? You still need a chef.
Right.
But now it's not just everybody can be a chef. Now you have to be valuable to stay as a chef. Right. So there's still going to be graphic designers, but the valuable ones stay. So if anything, AI is kind of filtering.
Yeah. Entry level anything is the first that gets wiped away, right? So like you said, there are chefs out there who are Michelin star chefs, right? Yeah. Very hard to replace them because they have a very special skill that most people do not possess. But if you're just a line cook, you might be replaced by a robot, right? Yeah. So it's like you have to be. I saw this guy on Instagram. He was talking about it. He's a graphic designer.
Yeah.
And he was saying, he was like, man, I'm not gonna lie, my numbers have taken a hit over the last year, and it's due to AI. But what he's doing is he's doubling, tripling down on a very small niche within the business. So instead of just doing graphic design for everything, it's like, no, I am the premier cover design for this type of industry, right? And then when you position yourself in that way, it's very easy for people to identify you as the go-to and the thought leader in that space. So people will gravitate towards that, right? AI, people are going to use for general use, things like that. But if I need something so special with that touch, then that's where I'm going to go.
Now, what did you mean by like the entry level gets destroyed? Do you mean like the ceiling for graphic designers is higher now because of AI, or this, the ceiling is a little bit lower and the floor, got a little bit lower too?
Well, the barrier of entry is low.
Okay.
But the ceiling is very high, right? You just got to become very good at what you do, right? You got to become very skilled.
Yeah. So for example, fun fact, I actually, I'm a professor for architecture, and schools like FAU, they're all in on AI. All right, which is great, because again, if you don't learn that now, 10 years from now, you're gonna be like, dang, I don't know this. These young kids, what do you mean? You're only 10 years older. That's what you're gonna be saying. So what I've learned when I was teaching AI and tools and all that, you still have to. I always say this in any industry, you have to give the respect of that particular trait that you want to learn. So if you want to be an architect, you need to learn the principles, you need to learn design, you need to know who were the OGs before you. It's not just, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be a graphic designer. Right. So yes, you can probably prompt something on ChatGPT and you're like, yeah, look at this cool logo. But it's like, yeah, but can you make it symmetrical? What's symmetrical? Right. Where's the hierarchy now? What's that? Right. So it's like, if you don't know, where's the data? What's that? So if you don't know these things, that's what I consider like giving it the respect and understanding and have a good foundation. So that way you become a better designer or a better X, whatever you're doing. Right. So these are things that, I thought, me personally, when I was teaching, I remember my first day when I was teaching, I was excited. I was like, man, these kids are going to be smarter than I was, because they got so much access to tools that we didn't have when I was in school in their position. And it was the opposite I learned. Yeah. I learned they were actually dumb. I was like, what's going on here? I was like, you guys ever heard of Google? You guys ever heard of this? And like, well, not really. I'm like, what? Yeah. So now I get it. They're new. They're younger. So like to them, these tools, they hear about it, but like, I don't know when I'm going to use it. With us, we grew up with it, and we experienced it, or at least seen or heard about it, that we're like, all right, we should know how to, like, I'd be surprised sometimes when I ask people, like, hey, where's the address? I'm like, just Google my business. I'm like, how do I do that? I'm like, what do you mean? just go to Google Maps and you can do that in the hours of operation? I'm like, yeah. Or ask Siri or whatever, and they'll just automatically tell you. So again, there's everybody's different, but you have to give it the respect, have a good foundation to anything that you're doing, whether it's graphic design, whether it's marketing, and then just like I tell everybody, ChatGPT, all these AI stuff, is a tool. What's a tool? A pencil. A pencil's a tool. But because I have a pencil, am I Picasso tomorrow? No. Can I draw like Picasso? No. I have to understand the principles, the rules, and how to do art in that type of way, manner, and understand what is the purpose of the theories of why I'm doing that type of art. So same thing. Use it as a tool. Take advantage that it's very freaking fast. But that's also a negative, because just like how we're used to internet speeds now compared to back in the days with DSL and all that stuff, we had to literally would turn on the computer, go take a shower, come back, and it's still connecting. Now it connects so fast that everybody's impatient. Which leads me to my next thing. Social media and everybody being impatient now with content. Do you guys think, I feel like the one social media platform that will be thriving right now that died is Vine. Yeah. Because it was such a quick thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. I don't know if it would be thriving.
Really?
I don't know. I kind of feel opposite. I feel like it would just be another platform. Just
because if I remember it was really just more about entertainment. It never had a business side. If I remember at the time.
For sure. But I don't think it could exist. Yeah. Because the social media game has changed, right? Yeah. We were just talking about that a couple of days ago. At one point in time, Facebook was a social media platform until, was it Sheryl? That's her name? Sheryl Sandberg? Yeah. What she onboarded, and she brought the idea of adding advertising and revolutionizing advertising, everything changed.
Yep.
Now, every social media platform is not there to enrich your social media experience. It is to get advertising dollars. That is the goal, period.
Yep.
And so I think when you have a platform like Vine, which is nostalgic. We're like, man, it felt so great, isn't that? Because advertising didn't exist.
That's true, yeah.
Right? So could it exist today without advertising? I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
I think so. Vine was around when I was a kid. I'm very young. But from my knowledge, I feel like Vine could have been like a TikTok. Because when TikTok came out, that's when like the short films, the 15-second videos, those would start popping. And that's when Instagram started implementing them, Facebook started implementing, YouTube implemented it as well.
YouTube Shorts, yep.
So I watched a video not too long ago. I think it was King Batch. King Batch was like a very big. And other people, Amanda Ceremony, something like that, and D Storm, they was just talking about how Vine didn't want to pay him. And stuff like that. And that was the big thing. So I feel like
they dropped the ball. They dropped the ball because they didn't understand what was going on. No one understood the value of an influencer at the time, right? They felt like, hey, you're on our platform. Why would we pay you? That's making sense, right?
No, that's true. That's true. No, Vine is interesting because that's actually the start of a lot of creators that came from Vine.
Tons.
And that was because remember during that time, what you had Twitter, which wasn't really meant to really post videos and pictures.
It wasn't. We didn't have. It wasn't. Twitter did not have video or photos.
It was just text based. So it was really Instagram and Facebook, right? And then there's always other platforms out there, but those are the big ones that were leading. And Instagram was only photo focused, and then Facebook was still there in a way where you can have some videos, but not like how it is now. So Vine opened up the door where like you might only get a couple hundred views on Instagram, Facebook. Now you got 15,000 views. You're like, whoa, people are looking at me. What's going on? So it just kind of hyped. I think. If anything, Vine became like the Fortnite of gaming. Like it kind of like opened that door that nobody's had open because they were like, nobody's gonna take down the beast, which was Meta. Meta wasn't even at the time Meta, but it was like, who's gonna go after it? And then that kind of opened up the door. And then Periscope came out of nowhere.
Oh my God, Periscope.
And then the live started happening, and then it revolutionized the game. I mean, TikTok. I'll be honest, I wasn't a TikTok believer when it came out. I was like, this is because TikTok was Musically, no?
Exactly, exactly. It was Musically, and I was like, I don't want any parts of it. Yeah. So
because all I remember was just dancing videos.
That's what it was.
I'm like, I'm not gonna be doing this.
Exactly.
So it's definitely tamed down since then. And then now they did a good job of adapting, and I think they did a good job,
phenomenal job
of getting people to advocate for them, like Gary Vee and all these. I mean, yes, they bought into the company and all that, but they kind of became the voice, at least the American voice, and then because we are the biggest market. So it was everywhere, but it's like once it got here, it's like, is it gonna stay? Now, is it still here to stay? I don't know.
Everybody gives Gary the credit for the most part. We got to give Gary more credit. He was screaming Musically from the top of every
He's writing books on it.
He was Musically, and everybody was like, what's he talking about? He was right, again. Again.
A lot of people see Musically as, some kids have, like, a lot of kids would just go in there, dancing and stuff like that. That's when, I think it got shut down, correct me if I'm wrong, that's when TikTok came out. I'm
not sure if they got bought out.
I think it might have been bought out.
Yeah, I think
it just disappeared for a little bit because I'm part of the younger generation.
I think it was bought out. I think ByteDance bought it, I believe.
Oh,
now speaking of younger generation,
don't quote me, guys.
The younger generation, I think is one of the most powerful generations when it comes to social media. If anything, you guys are the beta testers for a lot of these platforms because, like for example, Musically was more to you. To me, I was like, I didn't even download it. And then, but you guys are such a big group at that time when you were younger that if it works, they're going to continue pumping money into it to keep it, growing and growing and growing. So because at the end of the day, people get bored, and that's what I tell everybody. Like, you have to adapt to what's going on, and Facebook has done a pretty good job of either buying out the competitors and saying we can't beat them, we're going to buy them.
Or squash them.
Correct. They couldn't do it with Snapchat.
Right.
So, but thanks to Snapchat, that's why we have Instagram stories.
Right.
We had no stories before.
Not at all.
That was their way of saying, all right, I'll do my platform. They offered Snapchat, I think, $1 billion. They said no.
Yeah.
And that was actually,
I think it might have been 3.
Yeah, it was some crazy, but I ain't gonna lie, I was like, damn, they rejected that. And Snapchat actually, I think I saw a statistic that they're doing more than what they were projected.
Yeah.
Which to me, Snapchat is Now, I don't use it personally, so to me it's kind of dead.
Yeah.
But there is a market that people use Snapchat for.
They had to reinvent who they were.
Yeah.
Really quickly.
Yeah.
Because I mean, overnight, Meta came in and said, "Oh, you don't want the deal?"
Yeah.
They swiped their entire platform, embedded it right into Instagram.
Yep.
And they said, "Look, all these users that you guys used to have, guess what? They're used to being on
Yep.
Instagram." And when you give people convenience,
Yeah.
they won't leave. If I don't have to leave the platform to do the story thing
That's
that
true.
I wanted to do over there, and I can do it here.
That's true.
And everybody pays attention, I'm going to stay here.
Yeah.
That's very
Now
true.
Snapchat, one thing that I did like that they ended up doing during that time was they doubled down on influencers.
Yep.
Kim Kardashian,
Oh, yeah.
DJ Khaled.
Oh, yeah.
They said we're gonna pay. I mean, I was like, what is going on with DJ Khaled? Why is he blowing up?
I'm
Because he was
sorry.
on.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember the infamous DJ Khaled?
What was it? Is
when he got lost on the jet ski?
Oh yeah.
Every year I go back on YouTube just to
He's
watch
like the
video.
keys to make it.
And darker and darker. And he got really
Yes.
scared. Somebody call my wife. Please.
Yes. I mean, DJ Khaled. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If anything, it was a double dip. It helped DJ Khaled get to another level.
Oh yeah.
Because DJ Khaled was always a famous name, household name,
He
but
got
it
launched as a
wasn't. I think
superstardom.
it just shot him up even
Yeah,
more.
mhm. Absolutely.
And people don't even knew who he was. Like he's the one that wrote that song and all that. And then he started, going to like I write anthems and all that. I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's almost like if Fat Joe comes out of nowhere. You know who Fat Joe is, but now it's like Lean Back is popular again. It's like, what is going on?
Yeah, right.
So that I mean, kudos to him. I mean, it
Yeah,
worked out, and I
yeah.
think he still is on Snapchat, always posting and stuff like that. The keys to success, man.
That's
Key.
fine. The keys. I got the keys. That's
Another
fine.
one.
Another. Yeah. Khaled, man, you bring back memories. He really got thrown into superstardom.
Yeah.
Like it was, like you said, I'm DJ Khaled. I do these albums. I'm big in hip hop. No, he became like a global name just through Snapchat alone. That was crazy.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. I wanted to say something about AI, man. We're still in the infancy stages of AI and the AI race, but I'm happy, which is so crazy. We talked so openly about it, but like I forgot the numbers. It's like 80-something% of the U.S. is still unaware of like ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Most people, if anyone's heard of AI, it's been through
Yeah.
a social media platform.
Yeah.
Like I remember my wife, she comes from like a really small town, and they introduced AI on Snapchat, I believe. And this is maybe like a year ago. And on Facebook, all the small town people that she follows from, they were like, what is this? What is AI? Who is AI? Like, why is he in my stuff? They didn't know what the heck was going on.
Yeah.
But that's people's relationships with it still today.
Yeah.
Which I'm super excited about because I remember reading an article in like 2009. And I feel like I didn't know what I was talking about, whoever it was. And he was saying, video marketing is the future. He's like, you need to be doing videos, this and that. And I'm reading, I can't comprehend what he's saying because I'm just like, it doesn't even exist. Like there was nowhere to post videos. But he's so right.
Yeah.
Everything we do now is video. And I'm like, man, I wish I could be
videos
on the cutting floor. But here we are, we're on the cutting floor of AI. So I'm really happy because I'm like, I get to catch a wave.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, it's funny because I remember when videos started being posted on Facebook, and if you guys remember, there was a time that it was getting a little spammy. It was about like they were doing these clickbait stuff, and it was like a 5-second video, and it's like you go to another website, and then Facebook I think got like sued or something. Like, hey, you got to take that down. They kind of did it clean, and I was like, what is going on with Facebook? I was like, I don't want to go on this for this. But I took it as a different way. I always look at the way I was looking at the content. I was like, wait, this is a good way to do videos. Like, and people weren't all in. I mean, everybody. Like the way it is now, you almost have to do videos on your social media. It's just like automatic. You have to do it.
Have to.
Before it was like, one video a month will be fine. Do a commercial, it'll be fine.
Right.
Now it's like, do 10 commercials in the month. You have to do it. You know.
Right, exactly.
So it's crazy to know that we're at that level now. And then also, if you notice, people get tired. Remember when the video rush happened, there were people doing crazy intense videos where like crazy effects, almost movie-like and all that.
Oh my God, yeah.
Now the ones that are going viral, it's a text on the top,
Yep.
and then the person's just looking at something like when I go to work and I have nothing else to do. And it's like, and people are like, oh, that's great. It relates to you.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. And sometimes they don't have to say anything. Like, not be lame.
Yep. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
right.
perfect
Millions of
example.
views.
Exactly. But I remember we were dealing with this. I don't know if you remember, but we were talking about. We noticed that some of like the higher produced content that we were pushing wasn't performing as well.
No.
And as soon as we shot on like iPhones,
Yep.
people were like, "Oh yeah, I like this." It's just still figuring it out, but I think it's something with the human brain that relates high quality content to being sold to.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
But when I see something that just looks kind of normal, it kind of feels like, oh, I'm supposed to be entertained by this. Now, it's easier to digest. That makes sense.
No, I think it's funny. I was talking to his name is Robbie World. He was here the other day for a podcast, and he was talking about that in the beginning. He was doing just only professional cameras. One, it was taking too long, and two, he wasn't able to get the reach that he wanted. The second he switched to phone, it's just people resonate. They think, and the mind automatically, because we've all been trained as little watching TV, commercials. You see a professional video, you're like, wow, this is cool. So the second you see that quality, you go, whoa. Now, don't get me wrong. There's pages out there that have millions of followers 100%. That have professional videos, but that's their market. They're marketing that, and it's like, wow, I'm a videographer, I do this, whatever. That's a portfolio. It's awesome. But when it comes to a business, specifically clients that we work with, we're not talking to a producer from Hollywood. We're talking to your mom, your dad, your kids that are hungry to go to the restaurant. They just want food, and they want to know how it really looks like. So when you do something that's very high end, I'm like, man, that's gonna cost a lot of money, something like that. So we don't have a true answer per se, but I think that's the reason why. Because when they see that phone quality. And it's crazy because nowadays phones are really damn good with the video that you almost have to be careful. You got to kind of lower the frames or even get a crappier phone so you get that kind of like vibe of like
that old Nokia.
The other day I was at a club during Ultra. We were at a club when my cousin was in town DJing. And this guy had a Sony camera, the camcorder. He rigged it. He put a battery so it lasts longer. And the screen where it shows you what you're recording was green. And it looked like a bunch of shadows of people. And I'm just like, yo, you recording this? Like, yeah, it comes out cool, like black and white, like something that you will see in the 90s. I'm like, there's no stabilization, so the video's all crazy. And I'm just like, but it just kind of resonates with people. I don't know. It's just it's a thing.
I don't know, man. It's like the further we go, I was telling somebody at a networking event the other day, I was telling my prediction, because I met him, he does like direct mail. Now, and I was like, man, you know what's going to make a booming comeback? Door-to-door sales. I think as we go further into the AI race, right, chatbots are getting stronger and quicker and smarter. And as customer service and sales calls start to become more AI-driven, people are going to find it valuable when an actual breathing, warm human shows up to their door. It used to be annoying. Now they're gonna be like, thank God, like a human to deal with. So it's something to keep an eye out for, right?
I think it's happening already. I mean, just to touch upon that, not just only like for example, you call your internet provider. It's a whole bunch of loops to get to somebody. And then finally, when you get somebody, you're like, man, this took forever. It's not even worth it. So because they do, and they press 1 for this, press 2, or I think it was Comcast the other day. It's like, we can help you with our chatbot. I'm like, no, man, I need help with this.
I can't lie. I ran into a really good one.
My chatbot keeps sending me the same thing, bro.
No, I went into it was so good that I had to ask it.
Wow.
I was like, hey, man, are you a chatbot? He said, yes, I am artificial. I said, I knew it. But he was so good that I was like, this is perfectly conversational, pauses on point, answer my questions. I think I was booking a hotel. He was phenomenal. And I was like, man, this is good. And this is early. So imagine him a year later. It's going to be crazy.
But no, with door-to-door sales, so I became a homeowner. It's been 5 years now. So ever since I became a homeowner, I thought door-to-door sales was dead. I thought that was from like the 90s.
Oh, no, it's still flooded, man.
So all of a sudden, I'm getting knocks on my door, and I'm like, who the hell is here? I didn't invite nobody. and it's like selling roof cleaning or selling pressure wash, and it's things that you need. You know, eventually you need to have like your contacts or like plumber with all that stuff, and you learn this as a homeowner. So I'm learning all this stuff, but you know, solar was a big one. Yeah. The second that solar came, I was like, oh, they're gonna be online play. No, these guys were going door to door, and they were ready for that. No, but they were getting the sales. Yeah. Roofing companies. Actually,
big.
I got a family member that has a big business in roofing company, and whenever there's a hurricane, that's money for them. Yeah. They literally move the team to Fort Myers, to where it is, and then boom, sell it and it's a rush. You got to beat to it because other companies do the same thing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So. Because in that case, it's a need, right? It's like, hey, you want to keep having your inside, everything on the inside getting all wet, or you want to get the roof fixed? Because it's a big money in that. But then, you know, like car wash and all that stuff, those are a little harder sales. But you're right. Like, people are going to get more. Right now, there's always a front. Yeah. Like, I ain't gonna lie, when somebody's at my door, I automatically you get defensive. Yeah, like, who is this? What's going on? I'm checking through the camera. I'm getting ready, you know, and I look, and the first thing I'm like, hey, I don't even say hi. I come off really rude. I'm like, what's up? And then they tell me what they're selling. I'm like, all right, listen, you're doing this, whatever. Okay, look, no, I'm not interested. I'm good, or whatever the case may be. But I think that's definitely something that, you know, you're right. I mean, people, like I said earlier, people get bored. So sometimes we got to bring an old tactic and reinvent it and bring it to the forefront. And you'll be surprised how many people are like, wow, that's a cool idea. And it's like, bro, we used that 20 years ago.
Exactly.
I'm like, are you kidding me? Like QR codes. Yeah. QR codes came out, in the early 2000s? Yeah, I remember. Yeah. And I was like, this is so great. I was like, this is so cool. I'm like, I wonder what's going to happen. And then when
died,
it disappeared.
Yep.
Sure. Literally disappeared to the point where I was just like, something must have happened really bad, like maybe some information got stolen or whatever, which is actually happening now. People are getting smart with the codes, but now it's just like everywhere QR code. Yep. Scan this, because it takes you with your camera. You know why it didn't last in the beginning? Because at the time you had to download an app to scan it. Now your own camera. Yeah, now your camera.
It wasn't available through the camera.
Correct. Yeah. So then again, if you put that hurdle with people that are not tech savvy, they're like, man, I'm not gonna scan that. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, we did a QR code campaign like 2010. I remember we put stickers on like gas pumps.
How did it go?
I don't know. I can't remember. I can't remember.
But yeah, I feel like what is it? The tap your phone. I think that took QR out of business.
Yeah. There's another thing that you also said too. I think so. Talking about old school marketing, the way it's called EDM, direct mailers. Direct mailers. As much as you might be like, why do people do this? No, sorry.
See, AI.
Direct mailers. You know, a lot of people are used to getting the real estate ones. Hey, I'm your local agent, this and that. You'd be surprised, depending on how often you use it, it can work.
Yeah.
Like, for example, for restaurants, I've used it, and I've even found restaurants that are next to my house that I never knew existed because of that.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I look at it, I'm like, wait, there's a Colombian restaurant on the street?
Yeah.
I'm like,
they got good deals.
Exactly. Now I go there, they got me. So you'd be surprised. Now, if it might not be a good idea to keep, because it is expensive, it might not be a good idea to keep doing it every month. Yeah. That's where you kind of hit a 1-2 punch. You hit them once, and then you hit digital. Then you hit them with that ad, because they may have thrown away. It's like, hey, we got this offer. They're like, oh, that's that one. Because you got to be a reminder.
Listen, omnipresence is key. That was one of the things I learned working with a super large agency. We were marketing for a very large supermarket. So I think like 250 locations, something like that. And man, I was on the social side of things. So I handled all the paid ads for it. But there was social, there was digital, there was TV, there was radio, there was direct mail. Yeah. They had every arena ready to go. They were spending $50,000 on the meat department in digital. They were spending this on radio, $70,000 on radio, ready to go. And so it's like, you got to cover all the bases to really create that omnipresent feel, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what creates a brand. Yep. When I see you here, I see you there, I see you there. The messaging is, clean across the board, feels good, it communicates the proper message. I digest it, and I'm going to show up.
And I think that's important because a lot of owners, whether any business, they always try to find that solution of like, what's the one platform that I can just put my money in and make it work? There is no one answer for everything. It's like one size fits all. You have to almost kind of be in different areas. Now, depending on your industry, you kind of have a roadmap that you can kind of follow, but it's never just one. You know, either you do local ads, then you do some direct mailers, maybe even some flyers. Some people still do that. You know, so at the end of the day, billboards, if it makes sense for you.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you still have to figure out and have the advertising budget, which is called ad spend, because a lot of that money doesn't go to marketing firms like us. That goes to the companies that are printing the stuff out, or Facebook and Meta. So it's almost like you have to have two budgets. There's a service fee for us, and there's a service fee for that ad that you're gonna push out. So I think that's one thing that is very important that owners understand, especially a lot of owners that are for the first time opening up the restaurant or a tool store, whatever it is. They always, I get calls like, "Hey man, I want to do this, but my budget is this." I'm like, "Listen, it's a low budget. You got to start somewhere. I understand."
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you can spread yourself. You know,
Yeah.
if you spread yourself, it's like having a bullhorn, but your battery's on one, and you want to scream. Your battery on that thing is not going to be loud enough.
Exactly.
So you're not going to be like, "I don't want to talk too loud because then my battery's going to die."
Right.
So it's like, well, then maybe direct it to where it makes more sense.
Right.
Correct. Direct it where you're going to get some attention, and you grow from there. You know, and so on and so forth.
I was listening to a podcast, a couple days ago with the founder of Hexclad. You ever heard of it?
No.
It's a pots and pans.
Yeah.
So Gordon Ramsay does a lot of their marketing. He was talking about it. He's like, "Man, we didn't have any money for just traditional marketing, and so we were pushing on Meta." He said, "Man, we discovered Meta was actually the best thing working for us, and so we're like, well, how do we take advantage of this?" And it was during COVID. He said, "Man, we took literally every penny we had."
Just
dumped it right into Meta. He said we spent $1 million in 2 months.
Wow.
And it blew. And next thing you know, guess who was following him on Instagram? Gordon Ramsay. And then they create a relationship. And then so on and so forth. And then 5 years later, Gordon Ramsay brings Fox in. Fox dumps $100 million into the business.
A beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's sometimes I think that's, and that, I think the numbers don't lie. I think that's what it comes down to. A lot of people get boggled up where they're like, "Oh, I want to get followers and following and all this stuff," and that's the thing as clients, the homeowner, business owners, they put a hurdle sometimes on marketing agencies. You guys hired us for the fact that you want us to bring your goals to life. What are those goals, right? Get more revenue. How do we get more revenue? Get more people to the door. How do we get more people to the door? Be exciting online. Get them an offer. Whatever the case is, bring them to the door and hopefully they convert, right? So that's the trajectory that we have to do. But then when you're like, well, can we do that? And can we also look really good with 10,000 followers?
Let me tell you, man.
What are you're setting two different goals now.
I used to be discouraged by it, right?
Yeah.
I have a friend, I won't say the company, but this is a publicly traded company on the stock market. His agency was literally dropped by this company because of follower count.
Wow.
And he folded out in front of them. This is how much revenue we're making. This is your ROAS, return on ad spend. Your return on ad spend is foot traffic, the whole nine.
Yeah.
And they were like, "But our followers, where's the follower number?" And he's like, "Okay." All right, okay. And they dropped him because they wanted that follower count. And they were like, "We're making you millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And you're worried about followers. So followers don't make you money."
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's a real thing across the board.
Can you speak on the situation? One of our clients,
Sure.
fake followers.
Oh my God. You want to talk about?
Yeah. So should I name drop?
It's up to you. You don't have to. You can just explain.
You want to name drop the guy? If I remembered your name, I would.
Yeah.
Just make up a name.
So basically, previous social media manager or whatever the guy was working with one of our clients, our current clients, and he was buying fake followers. Now it looks good. You have all these followers. Your views are hitting 1.8 million views and stuff like that. It looked good to the client, but the client came like, "Yo, we're not getting sales." So when we came on board, we looked through, we did a deep clean, and we found out most of their audience are like Pakistan.
The top 3 cities weren't even in the country.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's insane. So we had to go in there, basically filter and kind of like target.
You almost have to start from scratch.
Yeah, let me tell you, right? She came to us and she's like, "My sales have dropped. They fell off a cliff."
Yeah.
Like, I think she was down like more than 60% of her normal sales were gone, shot.
Wow.
And we were like, well, here's the reason. You're marketing to people in Pakistan. Of course they're going to like this because the ice cream looks great. They're never going to eat it.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, anyway, so you have those, right? But she was fine.
Yeah.
She was fine because she looked at the numbers, the follower count, the likes on the post. Oh, everything looks good. Marketer must be doing his job.
Yeah.
And then slowly but surely, the numbers start to actually show up in your sales, and then you're like, what's the problem? Right. And so people pay attention to these vanity metrics.
And I think at the end of the day, I mean, as a marketing, we're both owners of our marketing agencies. I think we have a duty of, achieving the goals for that client and being honest.
Integrity.
There is a lot of marketing agencies out there. That's why I'm gonna be honest. I don't like using the word marketing because people think. Well, a lot of people say, "Oh, you're a call center."
Yeah.
Or you do this. Or you do
multi-level marketing.
And I'm like,
yeah, exactly.
Literally, we changed it up to creative marketing because we're more design focused over here. So I was just like, man. So long story short, when it comes to it, they have a bad taste. Actually, a lot of clients, and maybe you too, come from these horror stories. So then it sucks because we're the good guys, and then we're doing things the right way, but they were so used to the bad way of like, hey, this guy got me 3,000 followers in 2 days. And it's like, but where did he take you? Oh, nowhere. I was almost bankrupt. I'm like, okay, follow the roadmap.
Right.
So to owners that actually, and our current clients that put the trust in us, because I know in the beginning is rough.
Yeah.
You have these you have to almost resell them every couple months.
Right.
Because they're like, oh, but I don't see the growth. I see it's working, but I don't see the growth. I'm like, you have to follow the plan. First of all, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Right.
And they want it to be fast, and they want it to be cheaper because they lost money from before.
Exactly.
So it's like, wait, how is this even possible? Like, we should be called the doctor of agencies or something, because we're fixing these problems.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but the good thing is that once you show them the process and they see and it's working, it creates a snowball effect. They now gain so much trust that, the word of mouth just spreads. Like, who did your marketing? Who did that?
Yeah.
We see it all the time. Like, we go to clients that we're in, like, they're the ones that do, oh, man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
The sales almost guaranteed. Now, the only thing is the education is one of the hardest things, which I wanted to touch upon on there. I don't think it's ever going to go away that we never educate our clients because, remember, this is not what they do. We get paid to do this for a living. They are the ones paying for us we're the professionals.
Right.
But because social media is readily available on the phone and you can click the word post, they feel like anybody can be a guru. Yeah. So they have the control of like, well, you guys aren't posting today. Let me just post because you guys are too slow. It's like
you bring back nightmares.
So how do you think? Do you think that's ever going to go away, or we have to kind of like educate the customers in a way, or should the customers kind of train themselves to like, hey, back off, let us do our work? Like,
man, I think you're always going to have those people, those type of clients. But what we've been playing with is changing our avatar of who our client is. And I think when you can kind of nail that down to a certain avatar, a lot of those problems and issues that come along with miscommunications or lack of communication, you can kind of cut, right? And deal with a more educated client, right?
Yeah.
Now, people are gonna have their questions and such, which is cool, fine. But it's a difference between questions and just kind of like overstepping boundaries.
So you kind of have like a baseline where, you
don't want somebody that's going to micromanage.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then you can't micromanage if you yourself are not educated in this field, right? You're not a marketer.
Yep.
So it's like, how can you tell us what to do, what's best for you? And then you have those, like we've dealt with those in the early days where you deal with that and it's like, all right, this is just run the car into a wall because that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right. Are you going to let me drive or do you want to keep your hands on the wheel also?
Yeah, no, that's true. And they forget too that they're taking away time that we can be focusing on their project versus, because that's another thing. A lot of clients think that we work unlimited hours.
Oh my God.
So they're like, hey, let me call you at 2 a.m. and all that stuff. And look, don't get me wrong. When I first started a long time ago, I was picking up the phone at 2 a.m. I learned the hard way. You have to learn, somehow, whether somebody tells you or you just kind of like, hey, this doesn't make any sense.
Or you end up in the hospital like me. I've been there.
Or I got over damn weight. I'm on my weight loss journey. So
hey, looking good.
Because of that, you know, it's I looked at myself and I was like, man, this is not healthy, man. This is just not the stress levels and all that. So at the end of the day, you know, don't forget that we're all living. You know, we're all human beings. We're all living, and you got to have that balance. Yeah. And then once you find that, and then also we're in a creative world ourselves. We have to have those juices flowing. We can't be all stressed out. If we are, you're gonna have shit work. It's just that simple.
Yeah, that's what I've been focused on all year this year. Managing stress better. Because stress is always gonna exist. Especially when you're an entrepreneur, right?
Yep.
You're thinking of 1,000 things at once. Everything that's going on, and then also the things that you might feel might happen. Right? So it's like when you're dealing with that, it can become very heavy at times. And so what I've been learning is how to just maneuver through it without letting it like get the best of me. I've been doing a good job though. Do I seem stressed to you, Mark Anthony?
Oh no, not at all. I mean,
not at all. That's hilarious.
You hide it pretty well.
Oh really? Okay. I don't try to hide it.
Yeah,
it's funny. Yeah, that's funny.
So I wanted to touch upon. Actually, nobody knows this until we release this. When I actually met Anthony online, we've always worked nearby in Las Olas in Fort Lauderdale. I saw him through an ad that he kind of posted online. I'm like, oh man, this is cool, you know. And I'm like, oh, he does pretty much exactly the same thing I do. This is pretty cool. Yeah. So I was like, you know, I knew I kind of wanted to work with him in a way, some type of project or something. We actually had the opportunity to collab together and work on a project at the time.
You didn't tell him the public story?
The public story?
Yeah, we met in Publix.
Oh,
we met officially in Publix.
Okay, so that's what it was. I never seen you.
Yeah.
I always knew during social media, and then I was like, wait a second, and I saw your chain, ACC.
Right. Yeah.
And I ain't gonna lie, I pulled one of these. I passed by the aisle, I saw it, and then I was like, ACC. I'm like, what if it's his son's initials or something? And I'm like, that has to be him.
That's him. That's the guy.
And I went back, and I'm like, yo, you got, I need. And I'm like, yeah, what's up?
And then when he said his Instagram name, I was like, I do know you.
Yeah, so it was all good vibes from the beginning.
For sure.
You know, we wanted to work on something together, and actually it was funny because at the time we were going to do something similar like this, like a podcast, or maybe some networking for entrepreneurs in Fort Lauderdale that we can gather.
That's the original plan.
Correct. So we were like, we don't know what, but you know, running our businesses at the time, it was like it takes up so much of your day that idea comes and goes. So then it came to the point where we had an opportunity to work with one of our clients. At the time, they were known for being Perry Wings for Lauderdale. So I wanted to, I was like, you know what? I want to do something a little different, out of the ordinary, and see if we can kind of partner up and join our teams where maybe I have some weaknesses and he has some strengths, and see if we can balance each other out in a way where we can kind of deliver this to our client. Yeah. And if anything, the client's going to win out at the end of the way. It was a big risk on my end because I've never done anything with him. So I'm over here like, if this guy tells me no social ads and he sucks at ads.
I'll tell you though, Chris had a good vetting process though. He did. Because we met like, I don't know, we met a good amount of times. We had a lot of
Outback Steakhouse dinners.
Outback Steakhouse, came by your old office. We kind of hung out.
Yep.
You know, it was a good vetting process. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to make sure he wasn't just homeless outside, you know. Just
look, again, social media gurus. It's like, all right.
That's true. True. So it worked out. I mean, he passed all the tests and everything. And then when it was go time, you know, we didn't know what to expect. At least I didn't know what to expect. You know, I had to put my trust into him and vice versa. And I guess from the get, our teams kind of collabed and they kind of worked in the way where they didn't even know each other either. It's like, wait, shows like, wait, we're working with somebody else. Who's Markenzie? Who's it doing? Who's this? And
actually, today's the first day that Show and Markenzie are meeting in person.
That's actually true. You guys should shake hands.
Right. Hilarious.
They're real. They're not AI. Right. So yeah, because we're always on Slack. We just see a little icon there. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. So long story short, we worked on this project together. Our goal was to, you know, they're a mom and pop restaurant that already had some 25 plus years in Miami, and the Fort Lauderdale location, our client wanted to like really make this the location to uplift that brand. So everything was good, smooth sailing. We were hitting numbers. They were happy, and then. This is where challenge. This is the good thing about marketing, where I find it fun. It's fun and stressful at the same time. They threw a big challenge at us. They said, we want to rebrand. We want to go a different way. And we're like, all right, cool. Let's rebrand. Sure. You know, we got a company logo, all that stuff. And they were like, can we do it in 3 months? We literally had to do all the work that we did in a year and a half in 3 months.
Yeah, it was a lot.
And I'm like, what? I'm talking about down to the logo, to the shirt design, to the logo on the carpet, everything. So, but it was really cool because we had meetings like almost every other day because we had to make sure that we were on track. We had to make sure that the names make sense. Yep. It wasn't no ChatGPT come up with a name and call it a name.
No. Everybody had homework.
Everybody, literally, exactly. We were just putting assignments. Hey, come up with this. Think about it. If you're out shopping, you might get inspired by something because that's how it is.
One of my favorite ones was, hey, look at historical rebrands.
Yep.
Right, and then present the notes of that historical rebrand. What do you think about it? What do you want to take away from it? What can we use from those stories? I think somebody did. It might have been mine. I did maybe Best Buy.
Best Buy was one.
Was something else. You remember your rebrand?
I had Gap.
Yeah.
So rebrand on Gap. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really. But like you said, no ChatGPT. There was like actual hard research that it takes human minds to do. Right?
Yeah. Now don't get me wrong. You can use ChatGPT. It's just the thing is that a lot of people use it, and that's the end of it. It's copy paste. First, guys, you guys got to fact check. You got to fact check your research.
Please.
I mean, guys, really think about it. When we used to be in school and we had to write papers to our professors, we had to cite sources and stuff like that. The sources page. It's the same thing. It's nothing different. You're doing the same process. Make sure that what you're reading makes sense. Because anybody can make any page, put the text on there, hey, Christian makes this much money, and then ChatGPT is going to pull that text like, Christian makes this much money. I'm like, I'm broke. I didn't know I made that much money. Yeah. So that's the thing. You got to fact check it. But we did a good job. I mean, ultimately, and then that's another thing. We had 3 months, and then we got another call, and he's like, hey, can you push it up half a month? I'm like, 2.5 months. So listen, at the end of the day, it was a successful rebrand. They put us through to the not the ringer, but it was a little stressful at some moments because there was so much going on.
It was a lot of moving parts. And shout out to your team, Show of course leading the whole thing, really controlling like the arms. Eco did an amazing job on the images and the visuals. Beautiful job. She's one of my favorite designers. But it was definitely a lot of work. But we got it done, and I wanted to say. Man, I think the relationship and the partnership that we had was so special. Because there's a quote, right? The only ship that doesn't sail is a partnership, right? Because partnerships fail really badly, right? There's egos involved. You're not doing this, you're not doing that. And I remember when we came to the end of our partnership, we had a great conversation. They were like, hey, I think we accomplished a goal here. So... I think we should just kind of end the partnership. It was like, great.
No, definitely. Because you're right. A lot of people think, I mean, there's so many different ways. I mean, business can get nasty really quick. I mean, it's like almost like the nightclub industry. It's a nasty industry. So the fact that, I think that was very special. The fact that both of our teams, not just you and I, were able to collaborate. Everybody got along. We did the best for the client. The client was happy. They understood. They took on it. It just took us to a whole other level. If anything, I think it opened up a lot of doors. Because now we're like, hey, we can do this, whatever. And we learned also from it, what our weaknesses and strengths were, and then how to fill those holes.
Exactly. We learn from each other too.
Correct. Right, exactly. Because at that time, there was time like you needed a videographer. I'm like, I'll do it. And then I need some ads. I'll do it. You'll do it. And then it got to the point where like, all right, this is where I need some help, vice versa, and we were able to help on in a collaboration way without saying like, oh no, this is my client. It's just we're all here to have the same goal, and then as long as listen, guys, happy clients is going to be happy business, and it's going to make it where more business is going to come in. So a lot of people they in any business they're like, oh, that's my client, whatever. I get it, but if you can find a way to take it to another level, it's in your benefit to do it. So I think it was a very successful rebrand. If you guys haven't been to Spice and Vibe, that's what it's called. Check it out. So tell them Unfiltered sent you, and they might give you some. But definitely very, very successful. Opening up a new location soon. So that's something at the end of the day. That's great news, especially right now. What's going on with the restaurants? Which I wanted to touch base on that. So right now, when COVID happened, my understanding as why a lot of restaurants after COVID boomed and not boomed, spiked up, as in like a lot of new businesses opened up, was because the real estate of these locations were being undersold pretty much. Like, hey, the rent was $10,000, now it's $3,000. So now the guy that wanted to have a restaurant for the first time is like, wait, I can do that. I can afford that.
There were tons of turnkeys available.
But now, who's actually doing the right thing is lasting, and if not, you're falling off.
Yeah,
There's a lot of restaurants closing.
man, because all right, so the market is saturated right now, right? So first of all, everyone's trying to get into like these, these budding or these super busy markets.
Yeah.
Miami, Wynwood, for example. Every month, there are a number of restaurants going out of business in Wynwood, and there are a line of people ready to sign the lease because you're getting a turnkey restaurant, right? Most businesses, not most, a lot of restaurateurs or those restaurant owners die in the process of owning a restaurant because of the build-out costs, right? And when you're doing a build-out, there's all these hidden costs that pop up, this and that. I mean, we've heard tons of nightmares. I mean, me specifically, working with one of my clients, we were building out a location from scratch. I mean, filling out the paperwork, everything. No one told us that there was no grease trap in the ground. Extra $75,000 cost out of the blue.
Yeah.
If you weren't prepared for that, they could take you out the game, right? Heard a young lady the other day, doing well in one restaurant, trying to open up a second. She goes through, runs into issues. Took a loan out from the bank to continue the construction, contractor ran off with some of the money. Now she's stuck with the lease. She can't afford it. So now she might have to file bankruptcy, right? Because she has this lease that she signed. They don't want to let her out. So there's tons of issues that go along with that. And when you're dealing with the market in the state that it's in right now, where it's super saturated, highly competitive, rents are through the roof, it's a very tricky business, man.
Yeah. I think so. I think I read it in a book or something like that. And there's a lot of people that mentioned this. There's always the second operator of the restaurant that's more successful than the first. Because now, they might be paying a little bit more, but not really because they don't have to pay for the hood. They don't have to pay for the grease trap. Those are very expensive items.
Exactly.
So when it's turnkey, it's a way of kind of getting there and starting the business. Now, the thing that I feel like a lot of these new restaurant owners that they don't understand, because they're learning for themselves too, how to market, how to do payroll, how to do everything. They're like, I'm just a chef. So what's happening that I've noticed is some of it's common sense. Whenever you open up a business, you may have heard a saying that if you build it, it will come.
Yeah.
So when you build or something or a restaurant or whatever, you open the doors and people are curious. They're going to want to try you at least once.
Yeah.
So they take that as a false, boom. They kind of go, oh, my business is doing good. I mean, I can open up a thrift store down the street and people are going to come the first couple of weeks. And I'm like, I'm doing great. No marketing, zero advertisement. So yes, word of mouth can take you so far. But you have to have a strategy long term.
3 visits. It takes 3 visits to consider that person a customer. It's 3 visits. We literally dealt with a restaurant, won't say their name, a client of ours or past client. I mean, out the gate, boomed for about a year. I mean, or a little less than a year. Boomed. But guess what? The numbers fell off the cliff. You know why? No reoccurring customers. None of those customers were actually customers. Because of, kudos to us, because of the flair of the marketing, people are showing up. Once they try the food's actually pretty good. But the experience, something was driving them away and they weren't coming back, whether it was the pricing, whatever it may be. And that's a very undercover issue, right? Like you said, if you're just looking for the top, people are showing up, numbers are good, this and that. But you don't see the storm that is coming because these people are not the same people. And I mean, I don't want to go too far into the marketing bag, but this is why having first-party data on your customers are essential because you have to actually treat people like people and not just numbers. So every person deserves a relationship with the brand. So.
And speaking of, I mean, it could be any business. One thing that I feel like has happened recently is a lot of businesses in general, restaurants, feel like customer service is dead.
Oh my God.
You guys agree?
Yes.
Compared to before COVID? Where people actually hey, here's your check, sir. It's just like, hey, pay me. It's like, what the hell is going on?
I think, COVID really did a number on customer service and hospitality in general. I think the mindset of the typical American worker has definitely changed since COVID, right? You have people quiet quitting and things like that. And I think a lot of that mindset is still out in the marketplace.
Yeah.
And the first place you're going to feel that is in service industries, right? When you have brands like the Ritz-Carlton, for example, or Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Those are brands that are steeped in hospitality, right? Everything they do is in the name of the customer. When you have core values like that, you're able to succeed. But brands that don't have those core values and those things etched out and actually have their staff trained in those, they're the first people to suffer because customers are going to show up like themselves, right? And they don't have a rubric of what to follow. They just kind of show up and it's like, do me. So if I'm having a bad day at home or my life's not great, I don't like my boss today, that's the service that you're going to get. Yeah.
I think a little bit also with COVID, I mean, there was always a joke, like, you know, if you can't get a job, go work at McDonald's, right? Back in high school, that's probably a joke to like, oh, if you work at McDonald's, you ain't getting paid, whatever.
Right.
Now you see signs, hey, we're going to start you at this. You're like, wait, what?
I see, during COVID, I saw McDonald's billboard, $20 an hour.
I was like, damn, I'm about
starting.
to get a job
I was
there.
like, Jesus Christ. But people, they needed workers bad.
Right.
People were at home. People were lounging.
Yep.
You know, people were getting the stimulus checks.
Yep.
PPP fraud if you're in South Florida. All kinds of things like that. So,
no, it's true. One thing I want to touch upon is do you think billboards are necessary if you're running a business? Do you think it works? Do you think what do you think about billboards in general versus digital marketing?
I don't think billboards are a necessity. I think they are great to have if you have the budget for them. But if you are investing your money in in billboards, period, and not investing in digital, you are making a grave mistake.
Yep.
I think your ROAS on a billboard is going to be so much lower than on digital. And a big part of that is the way that you're able to measure the metrics.
Yep.
On a billboard, literally the metrics are the estimation of how many cars pass by this billboard a day.
But that's not even a real...
I can't tell you who was looking left.
Yeah.
I can't tell you who was texting and driving. I can't tell you any of those things.
Yep.
The only metric you're going to be able to measure is if somebody called the specific number that you had on the billboard for that billboard, that campaign. That's the only metric really, right? Or somebody scanned a QR code, which I don't even think is legal.
No, but they had people. That's another thing. It's funny that you mentioned that because I've seen even the bus signs is like, first of all, the QR codes are this small.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you want me to take out my phone while I'm driving? Like, how is that even possible? Like, only the people that are waiting for the bus are going to be able to take that QR code.
Exactly, right. So like I said, if you have the money for it and you want to diversify like your marketing efforts and you have the budget for it, then cool.
Yeah.
Like we had an idea for one of our clients who's really successful on digital. It's great. We do a lot of digital there. I was like, you know what? Let's throw some billboards up. It's going to create that omnipresence, right, that we want. People are getting on their Facebook, their Instagram, they look up and oh shoot, it's on a billboard. That's yes. In that sense, yes. But if you're just taking your money and just throwing it on a billboard, no, I don't think it's working.
Yeah, I think the reason why I ask because I've had a lot of situations with clients where they kind of have this freak out moment. A lot of business owners have the freak out moment when the sales drop.
Yeah.
So they want to do that like quick fix, right? Where's the Band-Aid? And then they look around, they go, should I do billboards? Should I do TV? Should I do that? And I'm like, hold on, your horses.
Right.
You got to ride this wave. And I'm like, not everything's always going to go, just like the stock market, your money will go up, eventually, but sometimes you're going to have drops, and it is what it is. So people think billboard is such a great media thing to just put their money in because it's so big, right? And I think there's a place for it, depending on what it is you're doing. Like, for example, Hard Rock, I think, does a good job of their billboards because what is it that they want you to know? Jimmy Rock is going to be live this day, and that's all it is.
Right.
They don't even say Hard Rock; they just put the Rock or something like that. Jimmy live this day. You're like, what the heck? Okay, Jimmy live. All right, cool. 401 pain.
Oh my God.
They take over 95 because what they want you to do when they car accident, you freak out. You're like, oh yeah. Right.
But again, omnipresence.
Correct.
Right. Most of their marketing budget is going to radio.
Yeah.
Right. They're on the radio 24 hours a day. So you get the radio ad, and then you look up on the billboard. Oh yeah, there you go, right?
Yep.
And then I think they're on TV too.
They're on TV. Yeah. I've actually done work with them before. They try to. They do they try to spread their web everywhere.
Yeah.
Because they just want to be in front of that in front of your face, you know, because you never know when that's going to happen. But then there's also like brand awareness. You'll be like, why is Coca-Cola doing a billboard?
Exactly.
It's like, what is, they're not saying buy Coca-Cola, they're just showing the polar bear and stuff like that. It's brand awareness. It's trying to be there. So that when you hit that grocery market, you just have it in your mind, Coca-Cola, you're like, yeah, let me grab that Coke.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yep.
That's it. Right? But again, what we're talking about, the budget is important.
Yep.
If you're gonna pour all your budget into billboards, don't do that, right? You want to go where you're gonna get the bang for your buck. And right now, as we're talking on today, it's digital. It's Facebook, it's Instagram, it's Meta, right? TikTok. That's where you're gonna have all your numbers, your analytics to actually dissect.
And because you can target.
You can target.
Because you can't target a billboard like make it move. Like, it's you can target age. You can even target how much they make, what locations, where, how, you know, sex, everything. You can target what you want them to sell. So what is it you want to sell? So at the end of the day, you know, you want to drive business to the store, you want to drive business to a website. Yeah. And there's a lot of people that are, I mean, Shopify exploded because now you can make an e-commerce store. And there's people that I know that you wouldn't even think they're millionaires and they're just chilling. They're like, yeah, I make a lot of money on selling these little makeup stuff. I'm like, what? Yeah. I never heard of it. I'm like, yeah, because because social media, people think that you have to be big on social media to make money. They think that you have to be the face, like the For You page. Your thing has to be on there, right? That's not how that works. Yeah, if you catch fire, that's great, but that doesn't mean that your business is successful. You know, I know influencers don't make that much money, and they got a lot of followers.
I was so jealous, man. I was so jealous. I just followed an agency founder the other day. He maybe has like 200 followers. They just launched the latest Skim campaign, right? Kim Kardashian's brand.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who this guy is. It's like, why am I posting? I don't want to post anything. I want 200 followers. I actually want to delete my Instagram, right? It's like, man. But yeah, to your point, you don't have to be popular to make money. Like, followers are a vanity metric. Remember that girl, she was super popular. She had like over 1 million followers. She couldn't sell 100 t-shirts.
Yeah.
She couldn't sell 100 t-shirts to over 1 million followers.
It was crazy. I feel like COVID, well, I was 16 at the time, and this was when I got into digital marketing and stuff like that. Affiliate marketing was one of the big things. I seen it a lot on TikTok. But like you were saying, followers doesn't mean anything. Someone could have the littlest follower but make a lot of money. But as a 16-year-old just looking at, you know, all these affiliate marketing videos, if I'm seeing someone, the guy could know what he's talking about. But if you don't have the followers, to me, I'm like, okay, this man is not making no type of money.
It's a beauty contest online. I mean, and don't get me wrong, that's never going to go away, I think. Like, for example, if I drive a Lamborghini down the street, you're going to be like, man, this guy's successful.
Exactly.
And that's my followers, right, per se. And then if I drive Prius, you're going to be like, oh, this guy's just starting out. Little do you know, I'm rich. You don't know that. So it's the same thing. So it's like, you know, it's really just, it's great to have following and all that stuff. It's good to have a page with a true following. That people that are fan base of what you are putting out content-wise. Because, like, for example, I'm in the weight loss journey right now. My trainers, they have a huge following, 500,000 followers out there, and I follow them, and all their content is they're not trying to sell me. They're giving me information that's valuable to me, and I'm just like, I love this. And the people that are on that page aren't bots. They're all on the same, because they comment. You see that engagement rate. They're not. Sometimes my comment is like 1 out of 10,000. I'm like, dang, they get that much engagement.
It's a relationship.
Correct.
They're providing value. They're providing value to the people who are following them. And let me clarify that too. I don't want to seem like Mr. Anti-follower man because that's what I sound like. But no, followers are great if they are true followers, like you said.
Absolutely.
No, important.
So how would you rank? I guess the metrics on social media, like from top to the bottom. Like, which one would you say is like the most important?
It all depends on what type of. Are we talking about paid or organic?
Just organic.
I mean, organic, you want to look at your reach. That's one. That's how many people that you're able to actually touch, and people are going to be viewing your content. Then your engagement, right? Your engagement rate, because that's going to tell you the truth. It's like, all right, is your content good? Right. First of all, the reach. Instagram's reach is dictated by how good the quality of your content is. What they say, at least, right? So if your content is actually good, They put it out for a test period, essentially, right? They serve it to a certain amount of people, a limited amount of people. Depending on the actions of those people are going to dictate how much reach you get for the time period of your post, right? So looking at reach and looking at engagement, those are going to be your top two that you want to pay attention to, for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, forget his name, but I follow is he the Instagram CEO?
CEO Adam,
and he's Missouri. He's always, I follow him, and I like the fact that a lot of people, he does his Q&A on Fridays or something like that, and people are always asking him. Now, you also got to take that information with a grain of salt, because he is the representative of the company, so he's never going to tell, because people be like, hey man, my reach not working. No, keep posting it. So, and also understand platforms like, TikTok is a little different content than it is on Instagram and Snapchat and vice versa. So, at the end of the day, you have to adjust what it is that you're trying to do. But yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I mean, when it comes to the metrics and all that.
Yeah, definitely reach and engagement for sure. Paid ads are complete different, depending on your objective.
Yeah.
But something that I noticed that a lot of businesses are sleeping on, that I talk to, is awareness ads. So what we call ad recall lift. It's a really concrete metric that you should be paying attention to. It's actually the measurement of how many people are expected to remember an ad within a certain window of time. So that's a really good metric.
Speaking of ads, because there's been like a unwritten rule going on for years that people say, like, hey, if you want to run ads and you really make your money go a long way, do YouTube ads. Do you feel like that still makes sense?
YouTube ads?
Yeah.
YouTube ads are great. Yeah,
because the cost is a lot lower compared to like Meta and things like that.
So I won't speak as a YouTube ad professional here. I don't run YouTube ads at all for any of our clients at the moment. But again, YouTube is, now the second biggest video platform, right?
Yeah.
Next to TikTok.
Yep.
Is it still second?
I'm not too sure.
I know
they might still be the first. I mean,
they're always racing for it. Anyway, they're huge.
Yeah.
And so YouTube videos, YouTube ads work wonders for sure.
Yep.
Are YouTube ads for everybody? Not really.
Yeah.
I'm still going to say Meta is the top dog. If you're going to run ads, that's where you need to be.
Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, and then, now, do you feel like you running ads for all these many years, have you felt that it's gotten more competitive lately and your strategy has to be more like in tune? Or do you feel, because also what has happened along those years is that we have gotten more tools accessible to us and more numbers, more data. So it's like, it's also like, not that it's gotten easier, but it's also data's king, guys. Yeah. At the end of the day, any business, data is king. So that why the fact that, with ads, you have all that data, like right now, do you feel like it's more competitive to run ads because you're competing against others? Yeah, I'm not even gonna say the competitiveness is the problem or the issue. It's not that, it's the data, right? So since Apple and Facebook had their war a couple, maybe like what, a year or 2 years ago? Probably a year or something. Yeah, they had a war where Apple sued Facebook for data breaching Apple users. And so once that happened, the Facebook Pixel, was essentially ruined in a sense. Before, the Facebook Pixel was a cheat code. Yeah. It would track every piece of data you wanted. You could tell your conversions, it was very accurate. But once that happened, Apple users have the ability to essentially stop being tracked, right? So it's like, I don't want you to have my information. I don't want you to have my traffic data or my history, whatever it may be. And so the Facebook Pixel or Facebook platform can't pick up what you're doing, right? So that's happened for millions of Facebook users. And so that has deterred your ad performance. There were some people's ads fell off a cliff because of this. A lot of people, actually. It didn't really affect us too much. We saw some numbers for sure. Like we had to spend a lot more money to get the same results. But data is key. So there are a lot of third-party platforms now that you can use. People have built out their own servers, things like that, to get their own real data, and then run the ads
off of the data that they're getting from these third parties. So.
Yeah, because you want that to be as accurate as possible.
I mean,
if not, you're kind of blind.
Exactly.
It's blindfolded.
It's flying blind, right? And so, how much money are you kind of just flushing down the drain, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't really think competitiveness. I mean, of course, holiday season, things like that. You'll see huge spikes like Black Friday, of course, Christmas time. Yeah. I mean, ads get really expensive on Meta around those times. But just on a general basis, no, I think data is the issue, not competitiveness.
Yeah. Awesome. Show you got anything else?
Maybe since we're both in the restaurant industry, we've kind of had like some food trends. And speaking about the past, like lobsters has always been considered like, I guess, a delicacy or like a high-end sort of dish. Yeah. But before, in like the 19th century or before a little bit behind that, it was considered like peasant food because it was, it was abundant on like the New England coast and it's like washed up and everything. So I know oxtail has kind of gone through that sort of treatment. I guess knowing or like being in this industry, what do you think might be the next trend, next food trend that'll?
I already know which one. I know where you're going with that. I already know which one's here. It's chicken tenders, man.
I was gonna say, so chicken tenders and shareables. So once Chili's had they turned their entire business around off of Mark Kinsey by himself in the Triple Dipper. I mean, the Triple Dipper resurrected Chili's from the dead.
Yes.
They were saved. Fridays went bankrupt. Yeah. They're trying to salvage their business. Yeah. Think about it. Hooters, same thing, bankrupt. Yep. Trying to salvage their business. You can name a bunch of other chains. Chili's was going down that same route. TikTok and the Triple Dipper raised them from the dead. Yeah. So shareables, fun to eat items, and things that dip and things that are saucy they're number one right now.
The reason why I say chicken tenders is funny because I actually have a cousin that he's 30-something years old now, and he was a picky eater. All he eats is chicken tenders and fries. Yeah. And I made a joke the other day to him, like, it's so funny how we live in the world where like that's probably what a lot of people eat nowadays. Yeah. Because you got places like Zaxby's been around for a long time. Yep. You even got Publix chicken tenders. Yep. You got Chili's. They have a whole section on chicken tenders. They're loud and proud about it. It's not just a kids section item. It's like, what do you want? What sauce? Then you got Raising Cane's.
McDonald's just dropped their chicken tenders last week. Yep.
Now, I think some of it has to do with food costs as well, because food costs has gone through the roof. And chicken has always been, because we designed a lot of menus over the years. And every time I talk to the owners, I'm always talking to them, like we always talk about like increments of pricing. We always have the sheet in front of us, and then he's like, all right, look, the meat's gone on 50 cents. Chicken tenders has always been like the bottom of the bottom. Yeah. Chicken in general. Yeah. So I remember 10 years ago, we used to be like, hey, why don't we just make that like the biggest picture on our menus because we make more money. And like tacos and all that, and it's true, and it worked. And we're making. He was like, "Man, I'm selling chicken like crazy." I'm like, "That's great. We made the picture look beautiful that people want to order it." But now I feel like all the corporate company picked up on it, and they're making franchises out of this, right? Yeah. So they're like, because Raising Cane's is a great example. The fact that literally it's nothing but chicken. They don't have their chicken sandwich is tenders. Right. Exactly. So now even chicken has gone up, but the fact that like I'm just surprised that it's just like a thing now. Because it's all the same thing. It's just dipping sauces and chicken tenders. The batter might be different. KFC is even promoting. They're promoting more chicken tenders than their fried chicken. Yep. I think Taco Bell came out with chicken nuggets. Yeah. So I'm just like, what is going on here? Yeah. So these trends that are happening. My thing is, are they all going to survive? Right? Like, there's so many options now. Before it was like, all right, Raising Cane's is there, but I was like, well, if I got a Publix here, I'll just get a chicken tender here, or if I got a McDonald's here, it's gonna get to a point where like you have so many options to pick and choose. Do you guys find that a good thing or a bad thing for the industry? Like right now, the fact that everybody's selling almost the same thing?
No, I think things come and go, right? I mean, there's gonna be trends where right now, like chicken tenders are huge, drinks are huge, right? Everybody's trying to do the most outlandish drink, right? It's just like unicorn, cotton candy pillow drink. It's like, what is going on, right? McDonald's even launched a whole drink brand, right?
Or
the Cosmics.
There's restaurants that bring out your shots with airplanes and the girls dancing.
Right,
the guys,
right.
I'm like, I love the comments. Like, I just want my drink, man.
Right.
Like, what is all this stuff? Like,
Right. I was reading an interesting story of it was an Instagram post, and a guy, he was pretty much like kind of like trying to like disrespect all mocktail drinkers. And I was laughing at the post because I was like, oh man, the people that are like really find this funny. No, literally every comment was mocktail drinkers and why they drink mocktails.
wow.
Right? I don't know why you drink poison. That's your stupid decision to drink poison. Mocktail is more than just juice.
Yeah.
It's a craft. It's a craft. Like, I was like, oh. Because I remember we did an event for Yelp, right?
Yep.
The mocktails were moving.
Yep.
And I'm in the industry. I know, younger people are drinking less and less and less.
Yep.
But I didn't know they were that serious.
Yeah, same. It's funny because that was during that time when Spice and Vibe was born. We had a mocktail menu, and to me, when you told me the word mocktail, I automatically thought of a pregnant lady. Because every time I heard that word, it's like, oh, do you guys have mocktails? Because they can't drink. Now it's like the thing. Nobody wants to go out and there's always going to be a group. So there's always going to be people that want to do everything.
Yeah.
But as the majority of the group doesn't want to go out and get messed up.
I admit, I called Heineken Zero stupid.
So,
and it's on fire.
You're right. Actually, it's funny. To me, it wasn't Heineken Zero. It was all the zero beers. I was like, they were just pushing it out. Like, not recently, like 5-6 years Super Bowl commercial. I'm like, why are they dumping that much money into something that, like, I'm never going to drink that. If I'm going to drink a Corona, I'm going to drink a Corona, not a Corona Light or whatever.
Right.
And believe it or not, it's here.
They're on fire.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And actually, the other day, I was just like, with my friend, she was pregnant. I'm like, what are you doing? No, it has zero everything. I'm like, what? I'm like, my bad. I'm like, I knew he snapped. I was like, yo, you forgot. He's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the trends are going to come, bro.
Yeah.
Trends are going to come. People are going to have choices. But I think the wisest thing that brands can do is pay attention to the trends.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, put your hat in, man. Put your hat in the ring.
Yeah.
You don't got to go full force.
Yeah.
But at least try to get some kind of a piece of the market, you know?
Yeah. No, of course. I think it makes sense. I mean, I think you guys have one of your clients, right? World famous, right? And I mean, he's known for the food trucks and the egg rolls and stuff like that. And I think like one of the things, like he's not known for tacos, right? So, but the fact that he came out with a birria taco, jumping on that trend that birria is hot right now, I think that's a great play.
Right.
So hopefully he's doing great, but that's one
This
of
is him
those
calling me right now, actually.
Oh man, put him on the podcast. All right, cool. So,
But going back to the things dying out, like trends, I don't think chicken tender is gonna die out, because from my mind, chicken tender used to be kids' meal. You know,
Correct.
that's what you get from kids. When now it becomes such a big thing, and that's the number one go-to for picky eaters.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of picky eaters.
Yeah.
Like, you can't go around with chicken tender. So it's
I
really
forgot the other who and Magoo's.
Hugh
Oh, yeah,
Magoo's,
yeah.
I mean,
Magoo's, yep.
It's crazy, man. It's just, don't get me wrong. I was like, this is great, but it's just like, are they gonna survive? This is too much. I think, right? So we'll see. I mean, they're putting big money behind it. Also, don't be. Don't. A lot of people think because they're opening up a lot of locations at once, they're gonna be here forever. Look at BurgerFi.
Yeah. Bankrupt.
Exactly. And they put money into that, you know what I'm saying? So, a lot of these corporations, the fact that they got investors and groups of people that have money and all that, they're able to do things a lot quicker. And it's also part of the marketing strategy that they're like, hey, boom, we're out here, right?
Yep.
Something new. When one store opens, it's cool, but you have 3, 4, now it's like something's going on.
Right.
This is a hot thing. Like, I gotta go now. Like, so at the end of the day, like I said, if you build it, they will come. So it's just one of those things. Like Culver's. Culver's is another one. I never heard of Culver's in my life.
Yeah.
And my sister's in Arizona. She's like, I love that. We have like 35 Culver's.
Yeah, they're
here.
huge. They're huge up there. Yeah.
And then I learned their story, which, believe it or not, to me, I consider Culver's the modern day McDonald's. What McDonald's was supposed to be if the original owners were to stay with McDonald's. Because if you guys saw the founder and all that, they were all about milkshakes being real, ice cream,
There's a level of
everything
care,
fresh.
right? Yep.
That's literally what Culver's is.
Yep.
McDonald's now is process everything, and I mean, listen, they're a real estate play and everything, but they still make their McDonald's is a staple for Americans. The fact that like people still want to eat it. And it's funny because I was this weekend I was at Epcot. And I learned that they have all the countries in the world, I was a little upset that the biggest country was America. And I'm like, hold on, why the hell am I gonna go eat a hot dog and burgers when I'm here?
I'm here, right?
But my friend was like, it's not because it's for you, it's for the people. Because remember, Disney World is one of those places where a lot of tourists
Of
goes
course,
there.
right.
And it's funny, I saw it happen in front of my eyes. This guy was like, is this the tater tots that I keep hearing about? Oh man, these might be. He said it in Spanish. He's like, these have to be brutal. That's like a word for them, meaning like, you know, like the shit.
Right.
And he's eating it. He's like, wow. And then his other friend had a pizza, and I'm like, yo, what is going on?
Yeah,
I'm over here eating a wonton. And like, I had jerk chicken. Literally, I was like, well, I'm doing the same, but on this country.
Exactly.
Turkey leg. I'm like, yo, this is crazy.
Yep.
That's
So,
a beautiful thing. Yeah.
It's a little, you know, everybody, there's different cultures and all that. So, well, that's cool. All right, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up here. Definitely, I do see another episode coming up with the ACC
For sure.
team.
Yeah, man.
Probably
Thank you,
one of the
man.
faces in here.
I'd love to.
We'll wrap it up here. I appreciate you guys coming out. So, you know, we'll leave it from there, and then hopefully you guys learn a thing or two. So, because that's the whole purpose. We talked about it earlier. You know, like you have the guy that has 200 followers. You know, nobody knows what he does. That's the reason why we created Unfiltered. Nobody. Let's keep it real. Nobody wants to follow a business marketing page. It's not cool.
Exactly.
There is some cool ones. Don't get me wrong. But it's a lot harder when, you know, we're at a mid-range level. It's like, why am I gonna follow you? What's the value?
Right.
And, you know, besides you telling me you can do your services, what are you gonna really give me value? You gonna dance for me or something on TikTok? We ain't doing that.
Right.
So we want to create it in the different ways and mask it in a way where it's cool for you guys. You guys can get some good information, different guests, and I think today we were able to accomplish that. Just learn a little bit about us and who we are. So look forward, and we'll cut it there.